Hi, I'm Mike Marino, and this is a brand new episode of Live from My Mother's Basement. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Live from My Mother's Basement. Of course, you could tell by what this looks like, we're really not in the basement. We're in the studio here in Los Angeles, California, but I have to start by saying how much I really wish I was in the basement. It's hot in California. It's still a little chilly on the East Coast. I want to go home. I want to be in the basement, and I want my buddy, one of the most unbelievable actors / comedians working in the business. This is Bill Dawes, everybody.
Oh, me.
What's up, man? What's up, man?
Good to see you, man.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come over to the basement and have a little chit-chat with me, man.
Of course.
Folks, I got to tell you something, and I want to hear his story about how we know each other. But we all perform at different comedy clubs throughout the country, let's say. And I think a lot of people cut their teeth at specific clubs like the Comedy Store in Los Angeles or the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. So for many years, we were sharing the stage together at the Laugh Factory. And I'm watching him work, and I'm like, this guy is funny, because sometimes there's a comedian that'll go on stage and you think he's going to do something very specific, and then he doesn't. He does something completely different. And I'm like, how did he do that? And then you realize, well, he's got acting chops, because he's been in a lot of acting projects. He's been in some movies, some really cool projects that we're going to talk about, and then Broadway. Why'd you laugh at that?
Broadway. Because people have so many conceptions about Broadway. Just like Broadway is just jazz hands and musicals.
Oh, no.
You know?
No. This is Broadway.
This is like Broadway.
Yes, it is. And he's going to tell us all about it. So thank you so much for coming down, man.
Yeah, man, of course. Great to see you, Mike.
What is your original origins? Like, where are you from?
Well, you know, it's funny you said that, because I always thought that I was Irish. I always thought that I was an Irish person my whole life, because my mom was.
Wait a minute, that was really great. Did you just hear him? He just turned Irish.
She's Irish.
Didn't I just say this a couple of minutes ago? You think he's going to do something, he does something completely different.
So I thought I was Irish for the longest time, and I made my identity. It was like, oh, you know, we're like a strong people. We survived a potato famine, and I just really identified with like Boston shit, Irish stuff. And then I found out from 23andMe, because they keep getting better with the way they do the genetic testing. I'm actually like 74% Scottish.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know what that means, but I'm just a different form of like European white trash than I thought I was. Because my whole ancestry is like, people are like, oh, I'm descended from Queen Elizabeth. Mine's like boot black, chambermaid, boot black, servant, indentured servant. It's like the worst lineage of all time. Just a bunch of like,
I've never
betas.
done that. You did that?
Oh, yeah.
23andMe?
Yeah.
You really figure everything out? It gives you what you're looking for?
I mean, I don't know what it gives you, because ultimately all you're doing is you're just reinforcing stereotypes about race.
Right.
You look at it. Oh, that's why I'm lazy. Oh, that's why I like to drink and fight. That's why, yeah, it's like silly. I don't know.
Drink and fight.
I don't know what you get out of it, but it's interesting. So I'm.
Well,
I'm
where
like
are you originally
Scottish.
from? Where were you born?
Virginia.
Virginia. See, I started to think Boston, maybe because you did that Irish brogue or something.
Yeah, no, I'm from outside Washington D.C. They call it the DMV. I'm from the DMV, Detroit, Maryland, Virginia. D.C., Maryland, Virginia.
Is that right?
Yeah, the DMV.
So did you start in the industry there?
No, I went to school for engineering. I went to Princeton for engineering, and people are like, oh, that's so impressive, but it's not really. It's like you're in high school, you have to pick a major.
Right.
I got into Princeton because I think that there was some sort of weird quota about letting in poor people in like public schools, because an article was written in the Washington Post saying how Princeton was elitist and snobbish and didn't let in public schools for Virginia. And the next year I get in. So that being said, you go to Princeton, you're like, I can't believe I got in here. The next 4 years, you're like, I can't believe he got in here. I can't believe she got in here. Because there are a lot of idiots who have family money. Let's be honest. So then I went to NYU for acting school, and then I was just a theater kid for like years before I started. And I think the first year I started doing comedy, which was 2005, first year I did comedy, I met you at the Times Square Laugh Factory. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. I might have actually, I think you were headlining and I actually opened for you.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was 2005. And you were like just the nicest guy. Because, you have you have this thing where you could
hey, don't fuck with me.
Yeah, but then off stage, you're like you're a little cream puff.
Oh, so Joey was here. Joey, we're going to talk about this guy, Joey Medina. He was here yesterday, and he goes, I will say this. This man, Mike Marino, has the most impeccable reputation of being such a good guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why is everybody a jerk off? What the fuck are you talking about?
That's really what it is.
And show business is just filled with, some shitheads.
Yeah, there's just a lot of people who just really, and you don't find it out until like you're in a situation where there's some pushback. But a lot of people really in this town, they only give a shit about themselves and what they can do. They can be like your best friend, and all of a sudden like something happens for them or something happens to you, and they're just gone.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Sucks. I don't know, man. I always thought that was just upbringing and where you came from. My family wasn't like that. I'm happy when somebody else is successful.
Yeah. I think that's very part of the Italian culture too, right? It's very familiar, very trying to support the community.
Well, there is another angle where some Italians really don't help each other. They it's that egotistical thing.
Of course. Yeah.
Did you do like high school plays and stuff?
No, I mean I was a jock. I played soccer, football, track. I was a varsity guy, and I had really bad. This is going to get kind of psychological, but there's sometimes you find out there's a mantra. Oh, sorry, there's a mantra that you create in your life, right? And one of the mantras I had in my life was that, "Hey, I'm smart. Listen to me," right? Because I had really bad speech impediment. I had a really bad lisp. It's kind of like this.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't really talk, and I had crying tonsillitis and like a bad lisp and stuff like that.
No shit.
My teeth were all jacked up. So I kind of, so people would always overtalk me or interrupt me or just be like, this guy's an idiot, don't listen to him. And it created this need for me to like communicate something for so long that when I got into college, I just started realizing, oh, you can talk and people have to listen because you're in a play. And I had to, most of my life when I was starting out was just learning how to talk, honestly.
Oh, no kidding.
So it was never really a natural, I was a ham, but my ham was always about physical stuff, like falling over chairs or flipping on couches or doing stuff like
Dick
that.
Van Dyke.
So for me, my comedy journey was always learning how to speak, how to articulate things in a way vocally, because physically that was always what I had,
Right.
So, so that was, even as an actor, I was always just a real physical actor. I was always like, I wanted to play the guy who's crippled or Quasimodo or just do something that kind of like gave me some sort of physical,
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's funny, we never really think this way, but then it just brings you back to the point where I didn't think he would do what he was doing on stage. He goes up on stage, he's got this look, but yet the routine has nothing to do with the look. It's just whacked out.
So what does that mean when you say the look? Is the look like you think I'm going to go up there and just do?
Well,
like
you definitely
you
definitely look like a jock.
Okay.
And you would think some of the material would be of that, but you do characters. They come out of nowhere. I mean, I wanted to come later in the show, but when you did a gay guy on stage one day, I was like, no fucking way. Come on. And then he started questioning, well, maybe he is.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then his guy's fucking, could have sworn you took your shirt off one day or you had these warm-up pants. And I'm like, I don't even know how to explain this. Because
I used to have tearaway pants. I would like rip my pants off and do a whole, I was borderline a prop comic for the first 3 to 4 years.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, because when I was getting out of graduate school, or even undergrad, I wanted to go to clown college. I wanted to go to Jacques Lecoq in Paris.
No shit.
And be a clown because I just thought not like red-nosed clown, but just like Bill Irwin or Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, just like a kind of Jim Carrey is a clown in my opinion. So that was kind of what really drew me into stand-up from the first place, was just the fact. And so I was always rolling around on stage, doing the worm.
Yeah.
Like breakdancing shit.
That's what I said.
I was like, I can breakdance. Let me try to breakdance in a bit. And I would make these terrible bits where I got to breakdance. So it never really, I don't know how much it worked. But then you get older and you're like, my back. Maybe I got to write some jokes.
Yeah, so you went to a school in New York for entertainment.
NYU. Yeah, NYU.
You went to NYU?
Yeah.
All right, well,
that's cool.
And that's when you were doing acting?
Yeah, I went there. It's an MFA, Master of Fine Arts acting degree, which is, I mean, not to crap on acting school.
No, that's okay. You got to crap on it. We all went.
So much money and so many years learning Chekhov and Shakespeare, which you pretty much will never do again for the rest of your life. Now, granted, you can learn skills from Chekhov and Shakespeare, but also like iambic pentameter, who gives about that stuff? So it's kind of good to kind of be in this crucible where you just have to focus on yourself but ultimately I think it's kind of an antiquated art form because the people that are really blown up right now aren't the ones coming out of grad school.
No, they're coming out of TikTok school.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I went to the American Academy and I remember being such a rebellious little punk because I'm like, listen, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Mike, you suck at Shakespeare. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it a joke. This is ridiculous. To be or not to be, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. My mother's going to kill me. She's paying for this shit.
And then you hear about all the people that you really look up to, like Robin Williams, Juilliard dropout, Jeffrey Wright, Juilliard dropout, or NYU dropout.
Really?
All these people who just like did this. I think there's something about dropouts because it speaks to like a certain presence of mind. Where like, you know what? I got this. I'll figure out my own way.
There are some things that you do learn that you are going to use in the future, but almost not everything.
Yeah.
I actually got kicked out of the academy because you weren't allowed to work as an actor while you went to school.
So fucking dumb.
You heard of this?
Well, that's the same thing with NYU.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got a job as an actor during the summer, and it was a TV commercial. And when the commercial aired, I went back to the school to start the second year program, and the lady goes, "You're Private Zaleski on the United Airline commercial, aren't you?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yes, I am." And she goes, "Okay, you can't." And I go, "Do you have any idea how much money I'm making?"
It's ridiculous. Oh, particularly back then in a commercial?
1982.
United Airlines?
Mm-hmm.
That would pay for your year.
Bought a house.
That would pay for your whole time at the academy. And they're like, no, because we're focusing on the craft.
Yes.
It's BS.
Yeah. I'm like, no. At that time, all I ever wanted to be was an actor since I'm a kid.
Really?
Right? So as a teenager, if you had blonde hair, blue eyes, and you went around on the streets of New York City and auditioned for TV commercials, chances are you're probably going to book something just because of the way you look at that time. So potato chips, bubble gum, M&Ms, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I booked this TV commercial. I had no idea the impact of the commercial. It was one of those sentimental commercials, and I got nominated for a Clio, and it fucking.
You did?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I was 18 years old.
What did you do? Have you shown it to people? Like, what is it? Like, do you still have it?
I still have it. Yeah.
You still have it? Oh my god! You should put that. You'll post that.
Oh, it's a whacked out story. That's why I was telling you when you first came over here. When people say to me, "How did you get the Carnegie Hall?" I'm like, it wasn't practice. It was I was at some party.
Yeah.
And those things depressed me.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like, wait a minute, this isn't the way I wanted
Isn't
this
supposed
to go.
To be. This is how you.
Yes, I thought it was
forward.
because I try so hard. No, when I was a kid and I was doing all these commercials, I had an agent tell me, your accent's so thick from New Jersey, you're never going to work. You sound like a dummy. I booked this commercial. The commercial ran for 5 years. I made a ton of money. Everybody knew who I was. Wow. And then I got kicked out of school. And they said, you're not supposed to work as an actor while you're going to the academy. And I go, okay, I guess I'm never going to be a graduate.
Yeah.
And there was one teacher that did say to me, you stink at Shakespeare, but you don't need to be doing Shakespeare.
No shit.
You're going to work someplace else.
Good for him.
So I'm like, thank you for telling me. And then I went on and on and on.
You know what happened with that? I guarantee you this is what happened. You did the commercial. Someone saw the commercial in your class, was jealous, and went to the teacher and said, I thought the policy was you're not supposed to work in this game. Because same thing happened in my school. There were people who got... I got offered a lead in a movie that ended up going to Sundance. And it was just like it would take me 2 weeks to shoot. And I had to turn it down because I couldn't drop out of school for that long. And the movie won to Sundance and won awards. I don't even want to name the name of the movie. I forget. I think it's called Love God or something. But the point is, that is this is a business. We are in a business. You will learn the craft working in the business. School, whatever the crucible of a school is, what you're going to learn there is very limited. What you're going to learn on set.
I'm glad you're saying this because I always feel like it's only me. This shit only happens to me. He just verified it happened to him. Yeah. I didn't even think NYU did that. I thought the Academy was the only school that said, you work as a professional actor, we're kicking you out.
And it's all about jealousy. It's 1,000% predicated and fueled by jealousy. There's no other practical reason why you do that, because you're not in any way denigrating the art form or taking away from your craft by making, probably in your case, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Made a lot of money.
Of course, of 5 years.
And I was only a kid.
Yeah.
When I was done doing that TV commercial and it aired, a lot of people knew about it. And I had an audition for Full Metal Jacket because they saw me playing a Marine.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't get in the movie, but I went all the way up to the top.
Huge.
Because of a TV commercial.
Did you meet Kubrick?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 18 years old. It's a long time ago, man.
Yeah.
I was just out of high school.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. God.
And then I was so sad that I got kicked out of school. It meant so much to me to be an Academy graduate, but I guess not now. It doesn't really mean anything.
It makes a bit of. I mean, do you think, and particularly now, could you imagine getting a job or being up for a job and they're like, well, we see here that you dropped out of AMPA.
Yeah. We wanted to give you a lead in this movie, but you got kicked out of school.
I mean, same thing with NYU. NYU grad school is supposed to be one of the most storied, NYU, Juilliard, and Yale are probably the top 3 grad schools for acting. And at the end of the day, nobody gives a shit if I graduate or not. They don't even know. How are they even going to know? They're going to go in a database and look it up. They don't care.
Yeah. Is it on IMDb?
Probably. Yeah, but I put it you can just lie anyway,
So you started pursuing your career in New York City.
In New York City, that was it. I was just, I was doing summer theater, and Sigourney Weaver saw me in that, and she said, I want you to be on Broadway with me.
Really?
Yeah. And so
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So it was a really small, I was like an understudy with a small part. And I did that for 2 months. And that was a great, she was such a great lady. And I was such a stupid, arrogant 23, 24-year-old kid. I ended up hitting on her. And
well, why not? Was she your age?
No.
Was she the same age? Was she
Sigourney Weaver, she was older. She's much older. So I definitely she was also married. I don't know what the hell I was doing. And she kind of was like, and then never really talked to me again. And she wanted to be my mentor. So, those are the steps along the way where you're like,
I'd have made the same mistake. She already done Alien and everything?
Oh, yeah. This is,
wow.
Yeah. It's like 2000 or something. Yeah, 90.
So, all right, then pursuing your career in New York City, when did you hit the stage as a comic?
So I was doing a play in 2003 about gays in the military, and I got a lot of attention from it. Right, I was getting really good reviews, and because I'm so gay, and anyway, but it was a really.
He does a gay character. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
I played this like hayseed from Arkansas, and I got to just be like myself and just like a funny goofy guy like this, and I got really great notice, but I had this weird friction with the director and the stage manager, and there's a time where I wore American flag boxer briefs that they suddenly told me out of the blue I can't wear them. So I show up to do the show, and they're gone. Now I have no other underwear options. I'm supposed to walk around stage in my underwear, so I have no other options to what to wear, because that was my costume. So I talked to the stage manager. I said, "What?" She goes, "We took him from you. We hit him." I'm like, "It's in the middle of a fucking show." And she said something, and I said, "Fuck you, you C word." Now, needless to say, kids at home, don't do that, because even if they are acting like a C word and they completely deserve that word is so it basically equates. It's a verbal equivalent of sexual assault. It really is.
Is it?
It is, particularly in the theater community in New York. So I was fired immediately. Like, no, I couldn't defend. I couldn't say. She was yelling at me in the middle of a performance, which I think is beyond terrible. But because I called her that was it, and I was kicked off the show. And when you're a Off-Broadway actor in New York, it's probably how you felt getting kicked out of the Academy. Like, oh my God, I'll never work again.
And then the New York
Post wrote an article about it. It was
shit.
It was a front page of the entertainment section.
New York Post. Imagine that.
And they basically did this whole thing. It was called Naked Aggression. It was about how I got fired. from this play called Burning Blue. And it's an interesting article if people want to look it up. I don't want to really talk about it right now, but I was so depressed. I never thought I was going to work. And I ended up losing like 2 jobs. They were doing train spotting off Broadway. I lost that. I lost another job because of it. And then like a year later, a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, I'm going to do stand-up comedy. You want to come do an open mic?" And I was like, and he goes, "I'll pay for your open mic. I'll pay for your cab." When they had member cabs. Yeah. So he got me a cab. Subway. I went down there, put the thing in the hat, and did like my 3 minutes to uproarious silence. And I don't know what your first time was like, but my first time was I definitely bombed, but there was like at least a titter or a chuckle at some point, at least enough for me to go. I have 2 thoughts at the same time. One is, well, that sucked, and I don't want to have it suck like that again. But also, like, I think I can do this. I think I can figure out a way to make people laugh. So then start the Rocky montage of me just trying to figure it out.
Where was this place?
Surf Reality. Do you remember? It was Surf Reality in like the Lower East Side. Yeah.
No.
It was like an open mic.
I really cut my teeth as a comic in Los Angeles. Here.
Oh, really?
I did about a year in New Jersey, but I never really did New York until I was already established out here.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I never thought it was something I was going to want. I, like you, thought, I'm an actor. I'm just going to be doing acting gigs. And I was on a soap for a while. I did a lot of TV commercials, small bit parts here and there. But when I came to California, people were like, "Hey, you Jersey guys, the way you sound, the way you talk, it's funny. Why don't you try doing stand-up?" So in my head, I said, what if I was an actor playing the role of a stand-up?
Interesting.
And let me go do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I said to myself, and that's what I started doing.
Yeah.
And then, probably like you, I got addicted. I'm like, I got to do this now. I got to do this all the time. I don't know if it was the challenge or the feeling of making people laugh that was in my... Got to have this.
Yeah.
And now, although I would love to be acting constantly, I'm never going to want to stop being it live.
Of course. I think if you talk to anyone, even if you talk to actors who are very successful actors who do comedy, a lot of them, I think, if given the choice, they would just stay with comedy. Because as an actor, you can be completely removed from your creative voice, 100%. Which is why I think so many actors end up like being political pundits, because that's the only way they get to actually express who they are, what they feel about things in the world. You know what I mean? Because an actor, you're just saying someone else's lines. And as the thing as a comic, the fact that we get our own agency with what we get to do and create and say, you kind of can't really give that up. I can't imagine it.
Well, one of the other reasons why I wanted to do stand-up and still do is I could create my own career. I don't have to wait for an audition. Yeah. I don't have to wait for anybody to tell me what I'm going to be in. I just do it myself. Plus, you can get help doing stand-up and booking gigs by other comedians more than anybody.
Other actors.
I always throw gigs because I look at somebody, I'm thinking, man, this guy's fucking hilarious. I don't know why he's not playing where I just was.
Yeah.
However, sometimes that never gets thrown back my way.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. You listening, Matt Rife? No. No, I love Matt. He's great. But I gave that guy a lot of, and then you kind of go like, you're doing stadiums, you can,
yeah.
But you can't fault people for that because people, they're following their own path. And I think that that's a really dangerous place to get into the like quid pro quo, and I've kind of given up on, I've helped people, and I've gotten people, I've made people's careers. I know it sounds really stupid, but there was a time when I was kind of hot in New York City doing Off-Broadway and Broadway where I couldn't get out of certain obligations. So they were like, I would get an offer for a movie or an offer for like a Sex and the City. And I would say, I can't do it, but my homie here, it would be perfect. And they would book it and it would make their career. You know what I mean? So that sounds really bitter, doesn't it? But I mean that in a good way. No, because if you expect stuff back from you, I think that's the worst place to be as an artist, unfortunately.
Sometimes, though, we have to expect something. I mean, I'm at the point in my career right now, I have so much work that I just tell people, look, I can't go. If you want to go, you go.
Yeah.
Just don't fucking throw me under the bus and make sure you can actually do it before you say yes. Because this is a very small business. Everybody knows everybody. And I don't want that phone call. Hey, the guy you sent me sucked.
Yeah, of course. My God. Yeah.
Bill, when he's on stage, and I'll say this again, we all have an affection somehow or a respect for another performer that you find so fucking funny. I see so many comedians that I think are absolutely hilarious and they're not huge. And I wonder why. I've also had some comedians I think are funny and other people say, I don't find him funny at all.
Of course.
But there's the guys that we do. So when I would watch you perform, I'm just falling on the floor laughing because I'm sitting there going, well, I don't know where he's going with this, but it's going to go somewhere. And sometimes when I watch you perform too, you don't even have this thing where you can tell what he's going to do. It's like a mystery. Like I think you could pretty much know where I'm going with my jokes, but him you can't. And I do remember you doing that stuff with the clothes. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? You know, I could have sworn there was one time you were hugging the wall, like you were almost like hiding and doing something like this. I'm like, oh, there's Bill Dawes, probably working out something that's going to kill in a few seconds somehow.
The process can be a long time from working it to killing, as you know. Sometimes these I'll do like, I remember I tried to do a bit about like doing a bank heist and how everyone's always just like, and I would do like rolls and different harnesses and shit. And it was always like, people like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's just trying to show off that he can do a forward roll. So you kind of have to give up your babies a lot of the time.
I don't remember when it was when I found out that you were in that Broadway play. And this is the one with...
Dan Lauria, Vince Lombardi?
Yes, the Vince Lombardi story. What was that called?
It's called Lombardi, yeah.
Lombardi. And it was on Broadway.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? Tell us this whole story.
So...
I hope you guys are all familiar with this. Obviously, it's not on Broadway now, but it was about Vince Lombardi, the manager
it's kind of about the birth...
The Packers.
But kind of about the birth of the NFL in a weird way, but kind of through Lombardi and his... Judith Delight played his wife. She got nominated for a Tony for it. And sort of the idea of the play is basically, someone's obsession and how it affects the relationship, because although he's this legendary figure, the Super Bowl trophy is named after him. The result was he had a wife who really suffered in his shadow. And that's kind of the story in there, even though the NFL produced it, so they want everything to be like super sugar coated. But the way I got it was I did a play with Dan Lauria, who played Vince Lombardi. It was a 2-person play about the FBI files on John Lennon, which you've never read about. They're fascinating. I mean, the FBI kept extensive files on John Lennon as like a public enemy.
Really?
Yeah. So there's...
No, I wouldn't know
It's
that.
wild. And so there was a play about that. It did pretty well. Not great, but this guy, Tommy Kail, saw me and Dan do it. So when Dan got offered the part of Lombardi, he came to me to play this guy named Paul Hornung, who was like, I don't know if you know Paul Hornung. He was like an old like rough and tough sort of, they called him the golden boy, but he was sort of, I kind of cut my teeth a lot playing washed up athletes. That's kind of like, I've played washed.
Well, I mean, you look like an athlete.
For 15, but like I'm a washed up for 15 years. So I played Paul Hornung. So Tommy Kail, I auditioned out here. He saw me, cast me right away. And, Tommy Kail, for those who don't know, is, if he ever comes across anyone's radar, your radar, they're like, hey, work with Tommy Kail in fucking Beirut for $0. Fucking get on the next flight. He's one of the true geniuses I've ever worked with. He directed Hamilton. He arguably co-wrote Hamilton, although he's like in the back. He doesn't look for the attention like Lynn does. But truly a brilliant person, and he kind of helmed that play and got me in it. And it was really an amazing experience. It's kind of one of those things when you do theater, if anyone knows, there's so many moving parts for theater, and it's so hard to have a great experience with theater. Because even if you have a great director or great actors, there's a costume designer who wants you to wear a friggin', G-string. Or there's always some weird element where you're like, what the fuck am I dealing with?
There's always somebody who fucks this shit up.
Yeah.
I always think that I'm the only one that goes through the hell. You can have the perfect cast, but there's that one guy. You're like, how did you get this job?
Whatever it is, one person, one DP, one actor, it's just one person could just mess up the whole. And that's why comedy is great, because it's you have your own responsibility for yourself, and the only other person in the room with you is the audience, really. And if the audience sucks, well, that's your job to figure it out,
So this particular play, was on Broadway. How long did it run?
It ran for 9 months, which for a straight play, meaning non-musical, that's a pretty good run. You know, it was pretty, and that led to me doing another play called Bronx Bombers, where I played Mickey Mantle when he was washed up. You know?
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So it's like, so I kind of go from Paul Horning and his like Kentucky accent to like Mickey Mantle, his kind of Oklahoma, more like covered type of like flatter accent. But similar characters, you know what I mean? Guys who got injured early, never really met their potential, and became womanizing drunks.
When you were on a Broadway play, would you actually, finish a night and shake everybody's hand? And, we're going to go home and be with my wife, and I'm going to go home and have dinner. Did you go like, I'm going to go over to Laugh Factory and tell some jokes?
1,000,000%. That's
really?
all I wanted to do. As a matter of fact, I miss some curtain calls sometimes because like I got to show guys.
No shit.
And they're like this one time. Yeah, a couple times I was like, I got to have a show. Because it's a completely different part of your brain. You know, you're in there doing, and then you go on stage, you kind of get to release all that stuff. You get to release the rules and just kind of, I felt like that was the best place from which to do stand-up. You know what I mean?
See, I would think the opposite. I would think I'd be in my head so much about memorizing my lines and doing a good job in the play that I don't want to fuck myself up by going to do stand-up.
Oh, really?
I would say no way.
But the play is over, so you get to go.
I don't know. I'd feel like I'd go back the next night to do the play and I'd end up doing my stand-up. That's genius that you could pull those both things off.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would never even think anybody would do that.
It was also the result of me not having a successful relationship to go back to. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like I was single.
Oh.
If I did have a wife or a girlfriend, or I could maintain one of those things, maybe I'd like go home and be like,
Well, if you maintained a relationship with somebody at that time, it might have got screwed up because you're doing a play and stand up and all of that stuff at the same time.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
I mean, me personally, whenever I was in a relationship, my career took a hit.
Really?
Well, because then it started saying, well, all right, I guess I don't have to go away this weekend. I'll stay home.
Yeah.
No, I really don't have to go. It's just a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're like, I really need to go to work.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I'm going to start talking about this conversation between me and you on stage. Then you're going to get mad.
Oh, tell me about it. That's also one thing when you're dating someone, they go, I can't believe you never talk about me on stage. You go up there, you talk like you're a single person. You never mention me. You never mention. I'm like, okay, fine. And I go up there and I'm like, I have a girlfriend. She gets pissed off. And they're like, how dare you talk shit about me? I'm like, what do you want? I can't go up there and just talk about how incredible my girlfriend is. There's no comedy there.
I love the fact that we all have the same lives. I feel so much better now.
Oh, good. I'm glad I serve a purpose.
But there's one thing that I've never experienced is to be on like a Broadway play. Now, I've done plays. I've never really done an off-Broadway play. I did way the fuck off-Broadway plays. Is the feeling different or the same? The height of performing in front of an audience as a stand-up as opposed to curtain call at a play?
Good question. This is a bad quality of mine. I just don't. I have social anxiety, right? So I don't like applause or adulation or anything like that. I don't know what it does. It does something. Clearly, I need it and I crave it because I'm fucking doing this job. But there's something about it where I just have this like feeling of self-worth, like don't applaud for me. So I would get in trouble because I would always want to miss my curtain call for the Broadway show. Or when I'd do like the shortest little Japanese bow ever.
Really?
And Tommy Kail, once again, to his credit, he goes, what you're doing, you think you're being humble, but what you're actually doing is you're being arrogant and selfish. Because it's your bow is not for you, it's for them. Give them the bow. There are people who want you to give a big bow and they want to be acknowledged for the fact that they're acknowledging you. And I was like, oh, that's fair. And I feel the same with comedy because for a long time, I used to hate applause breaks. Not like I get them so much. But, in the middle of a joke, you get an applause break. I'm like, stop. I'm not done. Shut up.
You're the first guy I ever spoke to that don't like an applaud break.
Well,
people do anything to get those.
I heard that from Daniel Tosh. He was just always like, he would get an applause break and just constantly step on it and then make the joke more obtuse and more obscure and esoteric.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I feel it because sometimes you see people get an applause break and they just put the mic by their side and they walk around stage like they're a conquering Roman gladiator. You're like, oh, shut up. You're fine.
It is an awkward thing. let's explain this to people who might not even know what the hell we're talking about. Applause break is when you do a joke and it hits so well that the people can't take it. And they applaud very, very loudly when you finish this particular joke. And there's a lot of different comedians who might just say, I'm going to take the moment and let them do it. And then there's guys kind of like us. I only let it happen just a little bit because I feel like I better hurry up and punch the next one.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to milk this.
Yeah.
I'd rather just keep on punching.
Yeah.
That's my ego. I don't want you to breathe. You ain't taking a breath. I'm going to punch the shit out of you until I'm done with this set.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other people who are like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is great.
I guess for them. Because to me, I won't do that.
I won't do. It's the same. It's very much the same thing when you do a play and you bow at the end. When you do a play, it's so hard for me to ever feel like after I do a performance, like, print that one. Nailed it. Will never be better. I'm always just like, God, that fucking second act, I really kind of screwed up that line. I think I was garbling my words. And you're like, thank you, you know. So I always think like that's kind of the point of being an artist, is you never land. You're never great. You're always just in a state of being better or trying to be better. You're never happy. You're just in a state of trying to be happier or getting happier. Because I think the minute you land, you die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm never going to stop. I'm always going to want to better myself. I could have like the perfect set in the eyes of other people and say to myself, no, I sucked. I hated it. I hated it the whole time I was doing it. Yeah. In fact, while I was performing, I was doing my laundry in my head.
Yeah. But again, that goes back to the whole thing of like, you know, sometimes for me, speaking for me, my humility about stuff doesn't really serve me. And I should actually try to celebrate what I'm saying and what I'm doing. Like I'll post a video online and I'll send it to people and they'll be like, I saw your video. I'm like, did you? Was it okay? Like, sorry. Did you? Which is ridiculous. Like, stand behind what you're doing.
You have to. We all have the same brain. This is amazing. I'm glad I'm listening to this too. Because let's go to another little project. And this project was done by a gentleman who was on my show prior to this interview, Joey Medina. And Joey Medina is a very well-known stand-up comedian. He was very well-known when he came out with the original Latin Kings of Comedy. He had a radio show. And now he produces, directs, writes, creates, and he created this short. What actually was the short called?
Beautiful Violence.
Beautiful Violence. That's right. He said it on the show. I don't even know how I saw Beautiful Violence. Maybe you sent it to me?
I don't know.
I don't know where I saw it. I just remember watching this project, guys. Listen to this, because you got to see this. And I'm like, oh, there's Bill Dawes. Wow, Bill Dawes is a great actor. Look at that. And in the beginning of the project, you know, you're in the car and you're going somewhere, and I really won't give it away, but I'm thinking, where's this movie playing? This is a great piece. And then I started to hear your voice about, you know, what's wrong with you. And then you see another comedian, and it's Eric Blake. And I'm like, I know Eric Blake. How the hell did these guys get this project? And then my first thought is, wow, these guys are good. Holy shit, who did this? And then I didn't know anything about it until it ended. And I saw the credits. I'm like, fucking Joey Medina? Where's this movie? Because it looks like a whole movie.
Yeah.
Although it's a short. Should be a whole movie. So you got to give some major credits to Joey Medina about what a genius idea. He even told me how he came up with the idea.
Yeah.
That was something that was personal to his own life.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know how personal it was.
He had some demons at one time, and he had the wrong thoughts. So this project is about the lead character thinking he has to kill himself because of an insurance policy, right?
For his wife and kid.
For his family. Whereas if he dies from the ailment that he has, the insurance policy wouldn't work. So he has to kill himself. Yeah. But he doesn't want to kill himself. He thought, maybe I'll get somebody to kill me.
Yeah, but if you commit suicide, the insurance is null and void. So you have to get killed.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he provokes someone to kill him. So is this project somewhere people can watch?
I mean, at this point, I think it's just on YouTube. I don't know if...
All right, so then.
Yeah.
So then we can find it through your YouTube channel?
I don't think I have it on my YouTube. I should. I don't think I do. I think it's just, if you just type Beautiful Violence on YouTube, I think it should show up.
Okay, Beautiful Violence on YouTube. You got to look up this project. it's just really so well done. I mean, I wouldn't boast about projects if I really didn't believe in it. I mean, I'm a hacky guy. I like watching stupid, ugly horror movies that aren't really that scary.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you which ones they are. But a good project with good fucking acting. You're unbelievable, bro.
Oh, thank you, man. I don't
have to
feel that way.
You don't have to take the bow. You don't have to do none of that shit. This is another entertainer saying,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, he's a great comic, but now you're looking at him like, oh. And then it inspires me. I'm like, I got to become a better actor. Look what the fuck this guy's doing.
Well, you know what's crazy about that is we shot that during COVID, right? We had a skeleton crew of like 5 people, maybe. And we shot in this like alley in the middle of friggin' North Hollywood or something in one night. So it doesn't take a lot to do that. I mean, I'm not saying go out with your iPhone and, we had some nice cameras, but you can do that. You can really, if you have any idea, we have a studio system that at our availability whenever we want it called YouTube, which is free to everyone.
Yeah.
And you can post it on your Instagram, you post it on your YouTube, whatever it is. And I think people get really complacent and they forget that like, you don't need to wait for ABC, NBC, Fox. You can actually make your own content, go into the studio called YouTube, which is still the most watched studio in the entire planet, more than any other network. And you can post something that you created. And I think that Joey Medina is really capitalizing on that, and I think that's what we all
He
did.
said your project won 136 awards.
Yeah, crazy.
Now, the other actor in it is a stand-up comedian, Eric Blake.
Yeah.
And
first acting job, by the way.
It's his first acting job?
First acting job.
Oh, fuck.
And he
killed it. He killed it.
Great. So I'll just do a real quick. I could talk an hour about Eric Blake. So when we were doing in 2012, we were doing this thing with Chocolate Sundays, a Showtime special called the Chocolate Sunday Show, whatever. And we had a sketch called the sketch was just me going out there before Eric Blake, with a big black dude, talked to another black dude, and I owed the black dude money, and I used this guy to say the N-word to this guy in different ways, right? Pookie gave me here's the premise. You can't say the N-word, you want to, so you have this giant black guy to help you. So the first time we did the sketch and rehearsing, there's this giant like bodyguard, black dude who was like 6'6" and 350 pounds or whatever it was, and we did it. It was okay. And then I think we had a slightly smaller black dude, 6'4" and 280, and it was fine. But then it was such a weird process. People were dropping out that kind of the last minute Eric Blake came along, and people were like, "Oh, he's not big enough. He's not scary enough." But there was something about him, man. I was like, this guy is like, he terrifies me. Actually, there's something about his eyes where I'm like, this guy has seen shit and he's done shit. And you can see it in his eyes. As an actor, you can see it. So we do the sketch. The people probably know. It went on Showtime. It premiered to very little fanfare. Then some DJ in Germany cut it and posted with the bars how a white man says "nene" to a black man with the full word. And he posted on his Facebook. And within a day, it got like 9 million views. Right.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So people were like, Bill, look at this. And I was like, oh. So I called up Pookie. I said, you got to put it on your YouTube channel. I called Jay Masadi. Got to put it on the Laugh Factory YouTube channel. And it's been this weird thing that's kind of gotten viral, then died, and gotten viral and died. I have not made a dime from it. It doesn't matter. But in terms of Eric Blake, I became friends. And I was always curious about why is, because when he says, if you look at the clip, how a white man says the N-word to a black man, is how you find it on YouTube. He's so simple, and he says it so, and he's not a giant guy. He's kind of my size, but he just looks so scary and so sure and so strong. So I interviewed him and tried to figure out what his deal was, and he ran a gang.
He did.
He was like a stone. I'm not saying he was a killer, but no killer. He ran a friggin'. He was in that life. He was in the thug life. He was running basically a cartel.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and he had to go to federal prison because of a RICO charge.
No shit.
Yeah, and he was in prison for 3 years. Came out, got married, changed his life around, but I always knew there's something about Eric. So again, Joey Medina's like, I want to get a giant black guy in this part, Beautiful Violence. Like they went to Alonzo Bowden, like they wanted someone really big and scary looking. I said, get Eric Blake. Because Eric Blake used to be a drug dealer. He started off running the corners, you know what I mean? He would deal drugs in an alley.
Wow.
This is a guy, but this is a guy who also cares very deeply about his family, which is important for the role. So I knew he was a perfect part. Never acted before, but in my opinion, he's brilliant in it. I think he's great in it, and I think he brings a level of humanity for someone who's never acted before. His ability
he killed it.
Yeah, and it's not an easy part to talk about, like your handicapped kid, and you know, I have nothing but love and respect for that dude.
We're talking about this black comedian. His name is Eric Blake. In the project that they did together, he provokes Eric to kill him so his family can collect the insurance policy. You got to watch the project. We're not going to give you away the ending or anything. But they're also in this comedy skit, and Eric can say the N-word, whereas he can't because he's white. And if you watch this, you're going to laugh your ass off because there's a tough guy going, you owe me money, man. You need to give me my money. And he's standing there with, like, I don't know, a Dixie cup of ice cream, frozen yogurt.
Because I came in rehearsal one day with the frozen yogurt, and Pookie's like, keep that. I was like, all right.
Really?
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, man, why are you tripping? And he goes, and every time he went to go, he would be saying the N-word, the black comedian says it for him. Yeah. And the way Eric does say it is hilarious.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And all the different ways you can say it. It's funny that we got, like, you know, I don't know if you, but what's his name? Gary Owen kind of like said, they stole that bit from me.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I never saw him in my life, but okay.
I actually met Eric Blake because at that time, a long time ago, God, this is a long time ago, I was always doing Fat Tuesday at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I was one of two white comedians that were doing Fat Tuesday. The other guy was Gary Owens.
Yeah.
And I always got away with it because I would say that I wasn't white or black, I was Italian.
Yeah.
And they put me in the show. And then when I met Eric Blake, he came over to me and he goes, you know, my wife is Italian.
Yeah, that's right.
And I looked at him and I'm like, are you kidding? And I think I said to him, is her father okay with this? And then fast forward, he brought me an Italian lasagna and meatballs to a show I was doing at the Ice House. And I go, why are you doing this? And he goes, I just want to prove to you that I come from an Italian family. I'm like, this is hilarious. But I had no idea this guy was in the gangs at all.
Oh yeah, I mean his story is, I could go on and on about it, but it's inspiring and heartbreaking. I at one point I was like, I got to write this movie.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't want to say too much about it, but you know, when he was really kind of at the top and a real G with the stuff, a child of his died, and it kind of like really changed his life and made him kind of, you know, he's one of those examples when you look at prison and correctional facility, you know, like some people really can become different. They can turn their lives around and they can live a life of integrity.
We need to call Eric Blake and get him on the show. I had no idea.
Cry talking about it for some
well,
reason.
all right, well then let's move on. We don't want to have no tears on this show. This is a comedy show. It's a comedy show. Here's something else that I think people need to find out about now. I've seen you in some pictures where you were wearing a gi.
Yeah.
All right, come on now. Mm-hmm. How dangerous are you?
Listen, man,
He's a big dude.
If you're wearing a blazer right now, I think I could do some damage to you with the blazer.
Oh, really?
You know,
what is your martial arts?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
A long time?
I think at this point, what is 2025? I think I've been doing it for, God, close to 15 years now. Yeah.
15 years?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a black belt, but that doesn't really mean anything. I'm not. Let me put it this way. I think that when you're dealing with civilians, I mean, like, you're a big dude and you're strong. So whatever happened with us, it's going to be dangerous for me, no matter what I know, because I'll have to get you in a position where I can actually use my technique. But to get to that position, we have to be pretty close. You know what I mean? And if you got those big mitts and you're just haymakers, you never know. I might go down. So
I could swing.
Yeah.
But I'm older now. If I don't knock you out, I'm dead.
And I get the hips. So it's so I will say that I've had to use it a couple times in my life, and it is an effective way to subdue people who are kind of out of control. it doesn't make you a tough guy. You're not, jiu-jitsu is pretty much, you start from your back for the most part, but
there's a lot of guys in show business that are well known for jiu-jitsu. I mean,
they start from their back.
You got, of course, Joe Rogan, right?
Oh yeah.
And
I rolled with Joe Rogan
Diaz.
once when I was brand new.
Did you?
Yeah, he's like you cannot believe how strong this fucking dude is. I mean, I was brand new, but he just like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was impossible.
But he's been doing it a long time.
Yeah, he's probably been doing it for 25 years, maybe, or 20 plus years. Yeah. Yeah, there's Ashton Kutcher. Tom Hardy is actually competitive. He competes a lot. He goes
really?
to tournaments. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else is Sean Patrick Flannery, who played. He has his own school.
Really?
Yeah, he's been black belt for probably a decade. He has his own school.
Sean Patrick Flannery is starring in a movie right now, just finished, called The Tales of Nicky Newark. And I know that because I'm in the movie.
Oh, wow.
I didn't meet anybody. I'm in one of those scenes where it's a solo scene with the lead.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
I never met anybody.
Yeah.
And I play a priest. This should be a real good piece for me as well because you're never going to see a priest talk like this in any movie.
That's great.
And when the kid comes into the scene and he says his lines and I do my lines, he eventually said, he goes, I know you're a stand-up comic. Did you want to improvise any of this? It's not a comedy. It's a drama. Yeah. And I said, sure. Yeah. So I started cursing in the church dressed up like a priest. And I was like, where the fuck have you been? And he's like, okay, yeah, let's keep that.
Yeah, that's great.
Because it's part of the idea.
Of course, yeah. It's a feature too?
It's a feature.
Oh,
That's
nice.
a full-length feature. Hopefully that'll do well. And I think Sean Patrick Flannery is one of the stars.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. It's always so weird too. Like you get these opportunities, and you think like, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one, and it's always something else that you were like, oh, this? I got work from this, not this. This was high profile. This was, I did this series called Alaska Daily with Hilary Swank, and it was like a really cool recurring role, and I have one episode. It's pretty much just me and Hilary Swank in a room together. I hold her hostage, and I was just like, this is going to be the thing. And
isn't it amazing? It's just all amazing because every time I did something that I didn't think was going to be anything was good, and that everything that I thought was going to be the best thing ever was not it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think one thing that we do need to say to each other, or everybody in this business, who's on our levels, let's say, our categories, we work as an entertainer.
Yeah.
You earn your living as an entertainer.
Yeah.
You don't do anything else, do you?
No, but I'm thinking about, I don't, not yet.
We work as entertainers.
Yeah.
And you could pass gigs to each other. You could work with each other, especially if you don't have an ego. I love touring, but touring by myself sucks because I'm like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
And I forget the good old days of running around for $20 and a hamburger.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we get free food at this game?
Yes. Oh, this is big.
I made it.
Yeah. So what's the future for you? What are you doing?
Well, I just kind of like ended my engagement with my my fiance.
Are you kidding?
Well, she ended it with me. So.
Don't you have a kid?
I have a kid, yeah. I have a kid.
One.
I have two, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I have a 24-year-old and a 3-year-old.
24 and 3?
Yeah.
It's a nice difference.
21 years of strictly anal. That's a joke I do on stage. It's awful. But no, yeah. Well, one was a one-night stand when I was in my 20s,
Oh, yeah?
And this one was, COVID, and neither of them were planned. Both of them, I was told that there was no possibility of pregnancy. So wear condoms. But no, both my daughters are amazing. I have two daughters. My 3.5-year-old, her name's Jupiter, and she's incredible. And her baby mama is a very driven, successful, beautiful woman, and we just don't really get along.
Is she in the business? Is she an actress?
She's in the business, yeah. Not an actress. She's a producer. She's incredible, and hopefully there's a man out there who will be the man that she needs and wants. But
so you guys are not married?
No. And I was never. It was basically we dated for 2 months. She got pregnant. But a girl came back into my life who was an ex of mine, and I thought this was going to be the one, and I kind of got the ring and everything.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So that's sort of So I'm trying to kind of like recalibrate my life after that, which I always think is a good opportunity to kind of, one of two ways. You get destructive and you just like booze and drugs and fucking like hookers, or you join Crunch Fitness and you try to do jujitsu a little bit more, and you try to like maybe go to Turkey and get hair transplants. So
when you going, I'll go. You don't need anything. Come on, man. You got a full head of hair.
No, I put stuff in it.
He's got a full head of hair. I heard about this turkey thing. Everybody's going for like $3,000-$4,000. They can come home with a full
free.
head.
You're an influencer. You got a following.
Really?
You just go, hey. But then again, if you had a full head, then who are you going to be?
I don't know. I'd be Bill Dawes.
Like, hey, I don't know if I like this guy anymore. He's got a frothy head of hair.
Oh shit. This is fucking hilarious. Well, hey man, I wish you all the best in everything that you do. We got to start doing some projects together. I think maybe we could be like brothers. I could be the older brother, and who's shorter. Trying to limit.
Yeah, we both got some pretty big mitts.
Yeah,
we could. Yeah.
It could be
two boxers.
We're gonna do a whole show about jujitsu.
If you were to do a movie like that, what would you want to do? What would be your dream project as a film? You must have something in mind.
I love doing comedy. I can't help but like do funny shit. I don't know if you ever saw the vignettes we were doing about Make America Italian Again with the little wise guys running for president. And everybody thought, oh, what great scripts. I'm like, we never wrote anything. They were stand-up comics. They were good at sketch.
Yeah.
We put in the idea. You know how hard it was to look somebody in the eye and they said something funnier than you and you're like, oh, shit. That's the stuff I want to do. And I like being around my friends. I like doing the shit like with Joey Medina. That's really great what he did and what you guys do. So I guess the ultimate film for me was I would love to be in a mob movie and play an underboss or maybe a concierge, something like that.
You know what? I might have something for you.
Oh,
I'm not
nice.
even shit with you.
Nice. All right, let's get going. Tell everybody where they can find you on all social media platforms so you guys can follow my buddy.
Hey guys, my name is Bill Dawes. It's Dawes. And you could just type that into my YouTube channel is Bill Dawes. My Instagram is Bill Dawes. Facebook, Bill Dawes. And there it is. That's all I got.
All right. Well, you just impersonated somebody just a little bit. I heard it. Who am I thinking of? Who's the guy that you do? Come on. Oh, fuck.
Donald Trump? No, who's it?
No. Do you do Trump?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Movie star. Been in a lot of movies.
I was doing him? I don't really do that many.
I could have sworn you were imitating him.
I used to do like ever the hacky ones like Christopher Walken and Jack Nicholson and all that shit, but
not those guys. One other guy.
Huh.
Big name actor. Well, those are big actors too.
I don't know.
We'll have to do another episode
Deep dive.
of Live from My Mother's Basement with Bill Dawes. Listen, we got to get going. I want to thank Bill Dawes for coming down the basement. Big shout out to my producer, Tatiana Blue Shell, for always making sure we got a great guest come down the basement and structures it and edits it and puts the whole thing together. We're also on my YouTube channel, which is every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Jersey time, Mike Marino Live on YouTube. You can listen to us and watch us on Spotify, and you can also listen to us on Italian American Radio in New York City. All right, we got to get going. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's make America Italian again. You know the motto. You don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my podcasts? By saying the same thing with my guest. You don't remember it?
Was it Make America Italian again?
No. Don't take no shit from nobody.
Don't take no shit from nobody.
Hey folks, thanks for watching Live from My Mother's Basement. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, hit the word like and leave me a really cool comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the future episodes and you can watch some of the funniest videos on the internet. You can also listen to the show on Spotify or your favorite podcast app.